On today's episode of The Hobbyist Novice, we continue our Art of Disney Lorcana series with illustrator Amber Kommavongsa. Now, Amber has put together quite a variety of cards so far for the set. So let's go ahead and learn a little bit more about Amber, her career, her time on Lorcana, some of the other things she has going on as well. Let's go ahead and hand it over to myself and Amber.
Welcome back to the Hobbyist Novice. Have a very special guest with us today, continuing our Disney Lorcana artist series with Amber Kommavongsa. Amber, thanks so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Super nice to be here.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your career, or other things you worked on other than Lorcana, things you might have been involved with.
Yeah, so I would say I'm like a recent graduate. I graduated in 2022, so I feel like I'm like a baby in the industry. So I don't feel like I have a lot under my belt. Right now, I am a concept artist and storyboard artist for a place called Space Station Animation. We make kids cartoons on YouTube and stuff, and that's really fun. I've also worked on a board game that is yet to be released called Way of the Road. Has some really cool art, really fun sort of like vibe to it. It's like Settlers of Catan a little bit, but you're kind of going around a path, and it was super fun to work on. I've been an art director for a game that one also kind of due to funding problem issues, that one kind of got shelved a little bit. I'm a little bit sad about that one. And then I just do like personal. I'm working on a graphic novel right now, and I'm helping my husband out with making some concept art for a game he's working on. So
Awesome.
I do a little bit of everything. So
is it your own graphic novel that you're working on, or are you doing the illustrate someone else? Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's my own. So I'm doing all the writing. I'm finding that it's also like the art process where it's like you expect the masterpiece to be written on the page like the first time through, and I'm like that's not the case at all. So it's been a really fun learning experience, and I've done some of the character design for it already, and so I'm hoping to release it, self-publish it or something like next year or so. That is the goal. It's a very ambitious goal. So
That's cool. Do you want to talk about what it's about at all, or kind of secret?
Yeah, so think Kiki's Delivery Service meets Avatar: The Last Airbender. So it is about an ocean witch who lives in this town. She's the only witch in town, and she's very kind and helpful to like all the people in the town. And her world gets turned upside down when a stormy cloud witch rolls into town and kind of messes everything up. And so it kind of sends them down like a path of self-discovery. It's like a coming of age sort of novel, and just lots of fun fantasy magic and stuff. So
no, that sounds really cool. You definitely have to let us know when that comes out. When is that other game that you worked on too? Is that coming out soon, or?
I don't know. So I know that the person sold it to a publisher, and that's the last I heard of it. And I think that was like the first thing I did of my career. So it's been about a year or two, and I haven't heard anything. You can see some of the art. It's called Way of the Road.
Okay.
But
cool. I'll have to look out for that.
I'm hoping to find it or like have it magically pop up on like a store shelf someday or something. So
that would be awesome. Just walk in a store to nowhere and see your own game on there. That'd be so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how'd you get involved with Ravensburger and Lorcana?
So Matt Eng, he was adjunct professor at my school when I was still attending, and I had heard from him that he was like working on a project, like a top secret project and stuff, and I had like my BFA show around the time, and I saw him like taking pictures of my BFA and stuff. And then a couple days later, I got an email from him talking about the project. And so we kind of like chatted and talked about it, and it sounded like a really cool project. And then, the usual business stuff, like, would you be interested? And I'm like, yeah, I would be interested. I didn't hear from them for a little bit. And I was kind of like looking through my work, because I know they were like a little bit, they have like a lot of line work involved in their art, and a lot of the stuff in my portfolio had like really good draftsmanship, but not necessarily like line art stuff. And so I decided one of my friends, she was kickstarting a comic, and I was doing a cool illustration for the interior of her comic, and I decided to try and emulate Nicholas Cole because he's like the big artist who works on Lorcana. That I feel like everything from Lorcana has been inspired from his style, and so I tried to like use it as kind of like a learning piece for Lorcana and stuff. And the day after I made it, and the day after I posted it, I got an email from them being like, "We have a card for you," sort of thing. So I don't know if it was that or they were just like going through like they have a lot of stuff to do or whatever. But I like to think it's because of that piece that I was able to like get my first card and stuff. So
that's awesome. That's branched off to numerous cards. I think right now it had at least 7 cards published, which is super cool.
Yeah, I agree. I was like, I've only done a couple cards, and I was like, no, I've done 7 cards. That's quite a bit. So
yeah, that's a good amount for sure. So I mean, going into this, were you a huge Disney fan growing up, or was that a big influence to you at all?
I had a lot of influences growing up. I feel like Disney was definitely one of them. I've always loved the Disney princesses a lot, like particularly Belle and Mulan. Like I was like, they're super cool. They're super awesome. I mean, I've also taken a lot of inspiration from like Nintendo a lot too, and just video games and stuff. So I feel like my influences are very varied and vast and stuff. So
that's cool. And like you mentioned Mulan, you got a chance to work on Mulan. So just like in general, with all these iconic characters you got to work on, the Beast card that you did, Friends on the Other Side, Raya. What was it like to put your own twist on these iconic characters that so many people have grown up with, loved, noted over the years?
Like how I put my twist on it, or
how was it for you to just put your own your own style into these characters?
Yeah. First off, it was really cool. Basically, I'm just getting paid to do fan art of Disney characters and IPs, so I think that's really cool. As for like putting my own twist on it, it was really fun just to like kind of put these characters in situations that weren't necessarily like part of the movie, sort of thing. So you kind of got to be like, well, what if you still have to kind of like maintain like their spirit and their character and stuff, but you kind of get to kind of enhance them. So like with Mulan, I actually got to do the character concept art for her, the design on her armor and stuff. Okay. And so it was like, what would I love to see her wearing that still felt true to her and stuff? And like, I mean, like kind of being a girly girl, you're like, let's put on all like the flowers and just like make it look really pretty and really fun. So, and I think just learning about when you're drawing these characters, they need to be on model too. It's been really cool getting to study these characters more in depth and just kind of appreciate the craft and design that went into making these characters. And it's kind of almost like aspirational as like a character designer. I'm like, I want to be this good as a character designer. So
that's awesome. And so when you're preparing to work on these characters, are you just watching the movies? You're looking at other artists' renditions of them, that whether it be through comic books, through other fan art that you might have seen, to get a feel for different looks? Or are you just creating something completely on your own based on the original character?
I try to stay away from people who have done renditions of characters, just because I don't want to be like, oh, I really like this, they solved all these problems, and then accidentally like have that come into my design. So I'm always looking in other places, whether it's films. I do a lot of like Pinterest gathering where I have pictures. There's like a vibe in my head that I have a thought, or kind of like a mood board, I guess, is essentially what you're making for the character, and kind of compiling those images into what would look good. And then sometimes Ravensburger is like, yes, this is good, or like, we want to go a different direction, and that's okay. So but that's the nature of character design too. But let's see, what else do I do? Definitely like I'm definitely someone who also like, I'll have like an initial idea first, and so I want to get that down on paper before going outside and gathering reference images and poses and other stuff to gather into the work.
Gotcha. Oh, very cool. then when doing something like this, I know from what I understand, they give you like a prompt of what the card is going to be like, and you're going off something based off that. Are you creating that something completely on your own, or are they kind of giving you somewhat of an aspect of what they think they want it to look like, but aren't too sure and just want you to make your own from it?
So sometimes there's like a mood that you're trying to hit with the card. So if you know, like on the different inks, there's different aspects and personality and characteristics about them that you're trying to incorporate into the card, and make the character feel like it fits in that ink color. So like with Amber, you have a lot of characters that are loyal and good and like true. I mean, I think Hades was a card that there was a Hades card. So it's like obviously like villains can fit into Amber too, but like there's just certain like things about those cards that you try to have them fit in. So like with the Mulan card that I did, we wanted her to feel like not like a leader, but like an adventurer, and just like very positive vibes with that card. So
that's cool. You can totally see that, especially the adventure part of that for sure. What's been your favorite card to illustrate so far?
Oh, don't ask me that question. My favorite is probably my favorite one that I did was the Mulan card, mostly because of the character design, and I really love the trees and the clouds in that one a lot. I also really love the Scar card. That was the first one that I did, so that one kind of has a special place in my heart. It's like my first TCG card that I've ever done. So but I also did some preliminary character design for him too, and that was a lot of fun to do, to kind of have like the lava and stuff kind of seeping into his character from his paws and like a fiery mane. So it was really fun to like do like a twist on like a classic villain and kind of make him feel more villainous, in my opinion. So
no, yeah, the card totally shows that. It's a really cool take on it, and like you said, it's more of that different take on a character that's so classic. Is there a certain character you're hoping to get the chance to illustrate for the series at some point?
I think if I could do a card like every Disney princess, that's like a big ask, but like I just love those. I think doing Elsa or Rapunzel or those are kind of like newer Disney princesses. I think Ariel would be a lot of fun too. I just love her red flowy hair, and just her colors are good too. So
very cool. And have you had a chance at all yourself to play the game at all or collect it so far?
Yeah, I actually have. During Christmas last year, my brother-in-law was able to get 2 boxes. They were super hard to get, and we did a draft with my entire extended family over winter break, and that was my first introduction into Lorcana and actually learning the game and stuff. Like I didn't know what I was necessarily like designing when I got the prompt and stuff. I'm like, cool, I'm just gonna make a cool illustration. But then actually seeing it on the cards and actually like playing the cards, it was a really fun experience. I wasn't very good at it, but it was still really fun. I was trying to build like a red or amethyst like ruby deck. I liked the flying mechanic, and then like Madame Mim was just looked super cool too. Like it was a really good illustration. So, and she seemed pretty OP. So
that's great. And it's definitely a game where it takes a little bit to learn. It took us a few times. My wife and I play a good amount now. But yeah, I mean, it definitely took us a few turns just to like get the mechanics of the game going, especially if you haven't played too many TCGs before. But I feel like once you play a few rounds, you can really get into it. It's a great game to play. Great family game too.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a lot more accessible for like a younger audience than Magic. My husband's like really big into Magic, and he's big into drafts and stuff. And so when we're on long car trips or whatever, there's like this podcast that he follows where I don't remember the name of it, but they kind of go over everything in the draft. Like they go over the cards and their costs and like what looks good and what might be like, oh, we don't know about this, but like I was like, that would have been nice to know before going into the draft, like what the cards did and like synergies and stuff. My we were playing, I think, with the Floodborn decks instead of the first chapter. My sister-in-law, she's like the last person I would ever expect to play a TCG, but she just mopped the floor with everyone. She was collecting all the dwarves and stuff, and they're kind of insane with each other. Like they
they're
just
so
like
good.
stack, and if you don't take care of them, they just like populate, and you're like, well, I just lost on turn 3. So
Yeah, that's exactly how it was at the starter deck drafts we went to when it first came out. You just stack them up because they're such a low cost and the ink is high, and they blew like everyone off the board between the two decks
yeah.
every time. But too, like you said, like getting into a TCG, like your sister, someone who might not have gotten into it before, it's the same kind of thing with my wife. Like she hated these things. I would play Pokemon with my son. Like we'd go to this little league by our corner, and he was like totally into it and stuff. But, like she never wanted anything to do with this stuff. Now completely different. We're big Disney people, so that also has something to do with it for sure. But yeah, it's really cool to see how many different people got brought together and playing something they never would have played before.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we got some of the first chapter decks, and we're saving those to do another draft when we get
Nice.
everyone together for a family reunion later this year. So I'm very excited. I think it's just a fun game that like brings a lot of people together. I did like a card signing event for the first time over the weekend, and I was just really shocked at how many people were like really into the game, and like even some of the directors and art directors like are really into it too, and like they have their own decks, and it was really fun just seeing them like after the event just whip them out and play a game or two. So
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that. So is that the first signing that you've done so far for Lorcana?
yeah, that was the first signing. It was at a place down in Provo, Utah called Dragon's Keep, and it was me and a couple other artists. Like Cam Kendall was there, Aubrey was there, Jared Nickerol, Ron Baird, and then we had some of the art directors there as well, chilling out with us. So it was really fun to actually,
Yeah, that's a good turnout.
yeah, it was really fun meeting them, because with a lot of Lorcana, at least with the artists to art directors, it's all like email based and stuff. So it was really cool to kind of like put a name to all these people. I'm like, I know you helped me with my card or something, and then to see the other people who had done these cards as well, and just kind of getting to know them, and just there's a great community vibe that's going on with Lorcana. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I've noticed more with this game than any I've ever played before is the community. It's completely different. Like, so different from any of the ones I've dealt with before. So that's really cool to see. And yeah, like you were saying, like the developers are totally into it. I went to PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia back in December, and everyone was there. Yeah, like I said, they all had their own decks. They were playing with all the fans and everything too. It's so cool to see that involvement from everybody.
are those like the game developers?
Yeah,
Or
it was. There were no artists there. It was mostly just all the developers. I think a couple people from the social media team also. But yeah, it was a lot of fun just to get to play with tons of people were there to play too. I mean, that's the other thing. I've never seen like such excitement over a game so new too. That was the other thing I was going to ask you too at that signing. Like, what was the turnout like? We've seen these conventions when artists come, it's just like insanity.
It was a really good showing. Like we didn't really have like a convention behind us or anything, but like the turnout was still really decent for like we're gonna do this in 2 weeks at this little game store and stuff. So I think the turnout was way more than I expected. I was like, I'll probably have some time to do like a bit of doodling and drawing, but like it was just like shaking people's hands and saying hello, and just like chatting with people about their favorite cards and what they've enjoyed about the game. So it was it was almost a little overwhelming, the amount of
I bet, yeah.
It just totally broke all my expectations. So
Are you going to be going to any conventions at all this year? Signing or anything?
yeah, I'm thinking about it. So there's a tournament in Atlanta, Georgia that's happening on March 16th and 17th, around that area, and I'll be there signing cards and doing commissions right there. And then I'm not sure about other conventions yet, so I won't mention those until I have a confirmation about what's going on with them. So that's one for sure that's happening. So, and that one's a cool tournament. They're expecting it to be like the biggest tournament. Are you into competitive Lorcana at all, or?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm really not good enough, but yeah, I'd like to get there. Definitely like
You'll
what the
get there.
tournaments are going to be doing soon. I would like to. I have like 2 or 3 decks I built, but always working on it.
So that's at like Charlie's game show, I think, and it's
Oh yeah,
like, have you heard of them?
yeah, I have heard of that one.
Yeah, yeah. So they're the ones that are hosting it, and I think it's like a $7,000 pot is
Nice.
what it's. Yeah, so they're expecting it to be pretty big. It'll be cool. It'll be cool to see what the competitive Lorcana scene is, and I'm not sure if my husband will get into it because he's like a very competitive. Like he was pretty competitive when he was doing Magic, but
Right.
he's like, I gotta put that behind me because it's such like a big money sink into like building those decks. So
It is. Yeah, it totally is. Especially like card availability and stuff. Like some of those higher cards that people get, it can cost so much. Man, looking at some of the decks, they're like $400 to $500, which is just like crazy.
oh my gosh.
That's something I feel like. Well, you almost need to have one of those decks to really compete.
To compete, yeah. Just
Yeah.
because it's like the really good cards like cost a lot. Like I think like the Black Lotus card from Magic, that's what it's called, right? It's like
Yeah.
a $10,000 card that's super broken, but I think it's banned in a lot of competitive forms of Magic. I'm not a Magic expert, so I probably shouldn't be commenting on it. So
Yeah, I know a lot of people wondering too, like if there's certain cards with Lorcana, they'll end up kind of going that same route. Pokemon does it too. Like they'll ban cards every now and then or cycle them out after a certain amount of time. So I'm curious to see if they do go that route at all too. Assume they will at some point, but it'll be interesting to see anyway. Just getting back on. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No,
yeah, go ahead.
what was I gonna say? I think like right now there just isn't enough like inventory, or there aren't enough cards that like you should ban cards, because I think there's only like 400 cards out right now, or around 400 cards.
Yeah, it's around 400, and then we'll get another 200 in a couple weeks here too. So.
Oh yeah, it's February 23rd is when
yeah, we're close, a month out now from when we're talking here.
Mm-hmm.
So soon, yeah, we'll have like 600 and what is it, 12 cards around there. That'll be cool. So in other words, just getting back to like the other artists and stuff too, you're talking about them. Is there a certain card or other cards you've seen in the set that you just love, whether it be from other artists or even yourself? What are your favorite cards in the set?
I really love the Stitched Carefree Surfer legendary one. I think it is so fun. Like Stitch's pose is so good and it's rendered so well. Like the water around it, like it's just like, I'm like, I want to be doing whatever he's doing even though I don't surf. So I really love that one. I think the Hades card, I think that was done by Randy Bishop.
I'm not sure. Which there's a couple different Hades ones. Was it the Amber one you were talking about?
Yes, it was the Amber one.
Double check.
I think I remember that. I could be misremembering.
So Hades had like 6 cards now. Yeah. So Randy Bishop is the Lord of the Underworld card.
Yes. I like that background is so cool. I think the Robin Hood one too, with the giant tree behind it. So masterfully done. And whoever did the Winnie the Pooh, where he's like sitting on the honey pot too, like that one is just so whimsical and fun as well. So
yeah, the honey wizard card has been like my favorite card so far. I just want a huge poster of it on my wall. It's so awesome.
Yeah, I really wish Lorcana would make posters of the cards or like playmats, because I've had a couple of people reach out to me. They're like, do you sell playmats of the card art? And I'm like, I can't, I'm not allowed to. Like I totally feel like it's a missed opportunity. They should totally release some playmats. I think they have released some playmats, but I don't think it's necessarily of the card art.
So they've done 2 for each set so far. So like the Honey Wizard was one of them. I did get that one. Alice Pisoni's Beast was the second one from the Floodborn set, and the first set had Maleficent, Steamboat Willie, and Maui.
Oh,
and then next set we're gonna get Stitch and Moana.
Oh, cool.
The playmat. So yeah, the playmat's been pretty decent.
Is it Nicholas Cole's Moana?
I don't
Or
think they've actually shown the card yet for sure, but they did show
okay.
the playmat. So I don't think the City of the Artist was on that yet. I don't think they've actually shown the card art from the card, but they did show the playmat.
I'm gonna look that up right now. Oh, it's definitely not. I don't think it's Nicholas
Yeah, I
Coles.
didn't think it was his. Just looking at the art style.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think that was the playmat's like it's from her back, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Hold it
Yes,
up real
it
quick.
is. Still really cool though.
Yeah, super cool. It's a beautiful playmat. The playmat's been awesome. Like the Honey Wizard one looks fantastic. It's just the playmats are so hard to get. Like the cards are hard to get. Playmats are super hard to get because I think they're really limited printos. So like if you don't get them the first week, it's almost like you're not getting them.
Impossible. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like the popularity of this game just continues to be nuts. Even with the restocks, like the restocks came and now they're pretty much gone again, and you can't find them again. So yeah, it's crazy. So much
so
hype for the
sad.
game still. It's great to see for the longevity of it.
Yeah, it really is.
So is there any other things you have coming up, or any other you want to plug your social channels or anything like that for where people can find you?
I'm just on Instagram under my handle is Amber Waves of Rice. So you can follow me there. I have Twitter or I have X. I'm not as active on there, but that one's Amber Waves of Art because Twitter had one less character available there. So you can just find me on there, and then
I'll put your social channels down here below too, so everyone can follow you. Do you do any like online commissions or anything for anyone, or any stuff like that?
not currently. If people are interested in commissions, like always feel free to ask. I might have some free time and stuff, but I've been pretty busy with other stuff. So if you do want a commission, you could probably catch me at like the tournament or at a convention would probably be the place that I would probably take commissions. So
Awesome.
that.
All right, cool, Amber. Thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you taking the time. And if anything else does come up, we'll have it back on, talk about that stuff too. Definitely really curious to see how the graphic novel comes out too.
Thank you. It was so good to meet you and talk with you and talk shop about Lorcana. It's always fun to talk with
Absolutely.
another fan, another Disney fan, and another Lorcana fan too. So.
Yeah, it's awesome to talk about the game, Disney in general. Really appreciate you coming on, Amber. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks.